The Secret Inheritance. My grandfather passed away 6 months ago. He was the kind of man everyone admired: strong, quiet, dependable. He was the glue that held our family together, and losing him was harder than any of us expected. After the funeral, my mom and her siblings began the painful task of sorting through his belongings. Among them was a small, locked wooden chest that no one had ever seen before. It was beautifully carved, with intricate floral designs and an old brass lock. "What's in there?" my aunt had asked, but no one knew. The chest had a key taped to the bottom, so we gathered around the kitchen table as my mom unlocked it. Inside was a stack of old letters, some photographs, and what looked like deeds to property. We were intrigued. My grandfather had never mentioned owning any land other than his modest house. As my mom and her siblings started going through the papers, their expressions turned from curiosity to confusion, and then something darker. One of the letters caught my eye. It was handwritten and dated 1965. The letter began, "To my son, I regret what I did to your mother. I hope this will give you the life she always dreamed of for you." That's when the whispers started. My uncle pulled out another letter, and suddenly the room was filled with quiet gasps. It turned out the deeds were for several acres of land, valuable land too, but it was the letters that told the real story. Apparently, my grandfather had been involved in something shady when he was younger. The details were vague, but it involved a business partner and money that wasn't entirely his. To make matters worse, there was mention of someone, a woman he referred to as Ruth, who wasn't my grandmother. This was the first any of us had heard of Ruth. Based on the dates in the letters, it seemed like Ruth had been in my grandfather's life before he met my grandmother. There was even a photograph of a young woman standing next to him, holding a baby. The baby looked just like my uncle. You can imagine the tension in the room. My uncle, who was the eldest of the siblings, didn't say anything at first. Then, after a long pause, he simply asked, "Do you think, do you think that's me?" No one knew what to say. My aunt looked like she was about to cry, and my mom just stared at the photograph, her hands trembling.